So there's two things. Shreveport Security System text line, by the way, is 318-392-1884. Make a mental note or jot that down. You'll need it later. The things, what did I say? That TOPS is sort of, the TOPS program is it's sort of the Carolina ghost pepper on the Scoville units scale of Matt's irritability and or temper.
Yeah. Stirs him up a smidge.
And yes, it does. So there are two things. When you had the little news tease earlier this morning about more changes coming in TOPS, et cetera, and we'll talk about those in a second. And suddenly he's like, oh man. He's like Cameron Mitchell in My Favorite Year, where he
he's got smoke coming out of orifice I didn't even know he had.
That's interesting you say that, because we're going to talk about smoke and smoking too in just a couple of seconds. These two are oddly tied together.
Yep.
So first of all, update me and everyone on the latest TOPS info. I'm sorry we couldn't quite pick that up. I know. Settle down.
There's a bear in the room.
I'm telling you, it's. So what's the latest? What's the deal?
The Education Committee on the Senate side defeated the measure to make TOPS a flat $4,000 annual award, and it would also have provided additional stipends for students who perform well on the ACT. Well, the Senate panel said no to those changes.
Somebody's his head is in his hands.
Since when did standards become a bad thing? That's all I'm asking. You know, oh, we can't afford to pay this. We can't do this. All right, well, here's a plan. We're going to save the state $100 million, and all we're going to do is make kids try. Yet no, we can't do that. I mean, what the hell?
Because we live in an everybody gets a trophy participation hooray world.
Look, to get TOPS, you have to have a C average, right?
Yes.
That's basically the bottom seller.
But what if you go to a D school, Matt, and you don't have a choice?
If you go to a crappy school, you should do better. You should be better.
You can't. They will say, my kids can't.
My kids
my
can't.
school does not teach them. My kid
Look,
can't learn there.
Look, not everybody is going to be a professor. The world needs ditch diggers. Okay? I know you don't want to hear your kids.
So all the ditch diggers should come from D schools.
All the ditch diggers should, realize, college isn't for me, and the parents shouldn't go, my kid's a special little snowflake, and he needs to be treated like one, so let's go get him an education.
He makes an interesting point. If one kid can come from a bad school and go to college and succeed,
why can't everyone?
Why can't they all?
Because they're not putting in the effort, they're not putting in the work. Oh, the environment around me is so terrible. Yet somehow there's a dozen kids or more out of that same environment that are rising above and getting A's and B's.
The exception to the rule.
Then what
and they may have something different going on at home.
Maybe
we don't know.
Maybe they're, they deserve those scholarships because they are special. Just because you're an average run-of-the-mill Joe doesn't mean you deserve special treatment.
But an average run-of-the-mill Joe at an A-rated school is going to do better on the ACT than an average run-of-the-mill kid at a D-ranked school. That's just the nature of the beast.
If you're not smart
and that's
and
not
you don't
fair.
study and you don't work hard at it, you're never going to get good at anything. It doesn't matter if you're talking about taking tests or rebuilding an engine.
But
if
should
you
it
don't put in
matter
the
where
work,
you live? Should it matter where you live, whether you get a college education? That's part of this problem.
So you tell me, where do you draw that line? As we've pointed out,
I don't know. I don't have the answer.
Hold on just a second, because here's where we are, and it's what I've said a billion times, and any number of politicians and influential people and educators will agree with me, either on the radio or at least off. One of the reasons, the reason we need TOPS is because college is expensive. College is expensive because we have TOPS. Because we have student loans. There is no checks and balances. There is no law of supply and demand.
TOPS should go to kids who need the money. It shouldn't go to every kid simply because they got the GPA.
That's what he just said.
No, he wants them to, he wants it to be merit-based only. Well, it also needs to be based on your income, your family's income as well.
Look, there's two ways you can go here.
So now you're going to means test TOPS also.
You either have
Why should the ultra-rich be getting free tuition?
I'm not arguing this. I'm just repeating what you're saying. So in your world, TOPS would be A, based on accomplishment and achievement, and means tested.
Yes.
Okay, so What
You
do
mean like an actual scholarship program, which nobody seems to want to put in? If you put in,
We want more of our kids in our colleges so they stay here. We don't have enough scholarships to go around for all these kids.
I'll let you wrap up the segment in just a second.
He's turning orange.
You're like a jack-in-the-box. Okay, but always remember, the cost of college is so high.
I know.
Because somebody else pays.
I understand that.
The student is no longer, I'm not just talking to you.
But isn't there a value to that?
The student is no longer the customer. As the student is no longer the customer, as the state or the government or the student loan, whoever is passing out the student loans, now it's only the federal government through a number of financial institutions.
FAFSA or whatever it is.
The point being that the student is no longer the customer. So there's no real competition. There's no real shopping. The higher education, the college, knows they can continue to raise their tuition and knows that whoever is paying it, because it's not the student, will continue to pay higher and higher rates because it's just tax dollars, i.e. someone else's money. So back to my original postulate, my original theory, which is more than a theory. You can read, there are articles written about this that it bears out to be true. College education, as long as it is being paid for by someone other than the student, will continue to rise. There is no control. There's no price control on it at all. Supply and demand ceases to exist.
And there's one point that everybody seems to forget. They're like, well, if we don't get TOPS, these kids can't go to college. You know, there's federal grants. There's a dozen other ways that you can get your college paid for. It's not all TOPS. If you really believe in yourself and you're like, I have the skill, I have the ability, I know I can kill in college, there are routes and other options that you can have. We don't need to pay for it. I don't need to pay for some kid that should be digging a ditch who's going to go down the Baton Rouge, drink Jack Daniels, and take bowling class. If you think you are worth it, if you think you could be a senator or a scientist or any other damn thing, then bet on yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself and you really think you deserve it, then get out there and prove me wrong. Don't
hit it, sister.
To just, you know, if your lot in life is to be a ditch digger or a mortician or a mechanic, why should I pay for your experimentation?
Amen.
TOPS is supposed to be for the top of the. It's TOPS for a reason. It's for the top of our student body.
Where's your church?
If you don't reach that level, you don't deserve my money.